Welcome to Tenerife. Beautiful, right? But even in stunning locations like this is what usually happens. Like basically everyone these days, I spend most of my hours as a digital zombie, hoping for the next hit of dopamine to make me feel something. I tried all the safety mechanisms, the app limits, the minimalist home screens, but nothing really seems to work long term. I feel like most of the time I'm living my life on autopilot. Head down, glued to the phone, and I'm really not living in the present moment. But most of all, I think I stopped noticing. This video is about the art of noticing, a counter idea in the age of hyperstimulation and flood of information. I recently read that we are processing more information in a single day than a farmer in the Middle Age would receive in their whole lifetime. And it kind of makes sense that we all feel a bit anxious. And I need to do more cardio. Here is an interesting fact. By the time the average person reaches age 80, they will have spent nearly 12 to 15 years of their life just looking at a smartphone screen. Gen Z is averaging 9 hours of screen time daily, and the average person checks their phone 186 times a day. That's roughly once every 5.5 minutes while awake. 69% of smartphone users check their phones within the first 5 minutes of waking up, including me. Scary, huh? So my goal for today is to stay away from this. No Instagram, no notifications, and most importantly, no social media. I'm gonna visit one of the most beautiful but also most crowded places of Tenerife today to explore the question, how can I actually live more in the moment? I just arrived in a small little town called Puerto de Santiago, just in front of the rock formation of Los Gigantes. And I have a little bit of a quest today. So recently I listened to this very cool audiobook called The Art of Noticing. And the author basically argues that in a time where social media is constantly trying to fight for your attention, the most radical thing you can do is to choose where you look. He defines noticing as a skill that can be practiced, just like anything else. I really want to try 2 assignments from the book today. Therefore, I'm going to travel to the west of Tenerife today for quest 1, and then I will try to visit a beautiful mountain village called Masca. As always, I have my camera with me. Personally, I think cinematography is one of the best ways how you can actually stay in the moment. So it is a practice of noticing for sure. I think I'm also going to give you guys a little bit of a portrait of the city. Puerto de Santiago. On the first look, not too different from all the other little towns in the south. British tourists, mini golf and tennis clubs, but all in front of these beautiful 600 meters high rock formations. Fun fact, because of its unique geographical location, a few hundred years ago Puerto de Santiago was the notorious entry point for illegal trade in tobacco, silk and spirits. So the first assignment from the book is actually a really interesting one. The author basically says take one item from your everyday life that you do not normally notice and try to find as many different variations as possible. In my case, I decided for this really cute TV antennas that you can find all over the island, and it's quite interesting how many different shapes and forms you can actually notice if you start to look out for them. Normally you just wouldn't care about them, but when you look out for them, you see how different they are. And another one. I mean, it doesn't really take long to find them. Yeah, we've got a few more. Looking at all these different TV antennas, one thing became clear to me. They are a symbol of the things you've missed by not paying attention in your daily life. So maybe just take your head up more and recognize this little owl. I think this quest was successful. I found plenty of TV antennas all over this town. I think it's time to go to Masca now for assignment number 2. So I arrived in Santiago de Tete now, and I was just drinking coffee in a local coffee shop, and the bar owner told me it's better to just not take the car and just go by bus because there's barely any parking space on the top of the mountain. So I think I will just do that. It's damn beautiful here. Look at these mountains. It's kind of cool. So behind me is the road to Masca, Before we go up there, my bus comes in 20 minutes, I really want to share something with you guys that I tried out during the last year. This video is about the art of noticing, and therefore it's also about how you can reduce the influence that the tech companies and iPhone apps have over your daily flow and life. And what I tried is a very drastic step. I just turned off all my notifications without any exception, like zero, even WhatsApp and all the messages I normally use. I just turned them off. So it really helped me. Maybe just try it out. If I would have known what kind of ride this is going to be, I'm not sure if I would have taken the bus. For context, I'm a person that really gets motion sick quickly. And I was the only passenger in this bus. And I think that kind of enabled her to go completely nuts. I was so glad after 20 minutes it was finally over. I made it to Moscow without puking, but it was very close. She was going like extremely fast through the mountains, and there was a few times where I was like, fuck, I think I'm gonna puke now. Moscow was more beautiful than I expected. It just really had this on the edge of the world feeling that you sometimes get when you're far away from home, somewhere in a valley that was not too easy to get to. But I still have assignment number 2 from the book, and that is stay on one spot for 10 minutes and see what you can actually notice. And then I found this cool spot. I think this might be the spot. And it was time to try it out. I think this is a spot where I would just chill for 10 minutes and see what I can notice. I have to admit, the first 5 minutes were pretty tough. My mind was wandering around between work emails and the food I ate this morning, or random stuff like, what am I gonna do tomorrow? It would just never really stop, and it was surprisingly hard to even focus on one detail. I even had this feeling that I wouldn't find anything. But then at one point, it finally clicked. I was finally in the moment, and suddenly, there they were. All these little details I was searching for. This one was actually quite a journey. It was almost like a meditation. And the more you look, the more little details you can find in the landscape. I show you a few of my favorite ones. Let's start with the rock formation right here. They have very interesting squared shapes in the middle of it. And if you look closely, there's these lines going down the mountain. And also there are these little bunkers here, which are very interesting. And this tree here is also one of my favorites because it seems to be the only one that is actually growing out of a rock. I don't know how this happened. If you look at the village, they only have white and red houses. Same on the other side. And there's this insanely beautiful car here. I think that would make a great photo like this. And right in front of me, I haven't noticed this in a while, but this is a symbol of life and death. Also really cool. Really unique edges. They look really sharp. It's pretty sharp on this side, and on the other side, it's not as sharp and more clean, at least. And by far the best thing ever is this. How the hell did this grow there?